Don't mind telling you, we feel a little goofy making these videos. Well, it's been a year since we purchased the property, and we thought we'd give you an update about what we've done over the last year. I have a list, so excuse me if I look at the list, but I'm old. For those of you that are new, we thought we'd update you on what we did here, because we did something that's usually not done by old people. We purchased the property a year ago. It's located just north of Raleigh, about 50 miles, and just south of the Virginia border, about 9 miles, in what is the male zip code of Oxford, North Carolina. It's in Granville County. Granville County has a population of about 58,000 people, which is only half of what the city of Erie has. The property is 13.5 acres with a 2,000 square foot house, a greenhouse, 15 by 20 foot chicken coop that is wired with electricity. The greenhouse, unfortunately, is not.
It is when we put a extension cord out there.
Plus a 2-car garage that is fully wired with up to 220, has a full workshop in it. We have a RV carport and a 2-car carport. We are way off the road. Our driveway is 1,030 feet long. Of the 13.5 acres, about 10 of it is heavily wooded. And you can see one of the things that came along with the house is Kit Kat. We also got guinea hen that came with the house. There were 2 cats. One disappeared. We tamed Kit Kat. We didn't name her. And then had 2 guinea hens, Thelma and Louise. We didn't name them either. And only one of them remains. So how did we get here? I started looking for properties in upstate New York on the Canadian border. We had a unique opportunity to get out of the house with a substantial profit that we were in before. I did find a property similar to this one in Kane, Pennsylvania. But that property's taxes were 700% higher than the taxes here. So we decided to stay in the county we were already living. Taxes are low, expenses are low, property values are good. So we bought this place. It came up, there was a contract on it. I told the realtor that if the contract didn't go through, that we were interested. A week later, we got the house. From the very beginning, it appeared that our Shangri-La was destined to not be successful. The first month we were here, we were hit with 2.5 hurricanes. We had an interruption for cancer in the spring, and now a super hot summer.
Dry.
The place was not in very good shape when we took it. We bought it for the property and the freedom that it represented, knowing that we'd have to do some work to the house. What we've done over the last year is we've installed French drains and buried the downspouts, which took care of the standing water issues in the property, dried out the crawl space and the property around the building. We installed a new driveway with tar and chip. 3 rooms have been painted, really 4 rooms if you count the master bath. We created a mountain of limbs that you'll see us chip up in the near future. We put a new rug in the living room, new HVAC system, new hot water tank, new water pressure system, and we expanded the garden to 25 by 70. Linda can tell you a little bit about the garden.
garden this year was interesting. We've had difficulties with it. It was a very wet spring, and then we went to very hot and dry. So it was difficult for the plants to make that transition, but I think it was more of a success than it had been at our previous house. We had good pepper crop, we had good zucchini crop, we had good cucumbers. The kale and the Swiss chard were fairly decent, although we did better with those in the winter in the greenhouse. Disappointments in tomatoes. I had 3 tomato plants and not 1 tomato. The corn plants grew very well, had lots of corn, but when we harvested them, they had very little corn on them. So I think that was because of the dryness, so I'm going to fix that by putting in some dripper hoses for this year, next year, to try to get those taken care of. All in all, it was a lot of work. It was fun. It was a learning experience, and I'm looking forward to a better next year.
We also are moving from raised bed gardens to tilled gardens, which appear to have more success than the raised beds do, at least in this area. When we first moved here, we did videos for YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, Redhawk Ridge Acres. You can join that, it's free. We post videos there. We stopped making videos because it takes twice as long to do something while you're doing videos. This video is about 10 minutes long. We're going to be here 20 minutes making it, plus the editing. We're willing to start the videos again, but we would ask that you make it worth our while, so to speak. We get 7 views. It's really not worth the effort for 7 views. We get 0 comments. So what we're asking is that you can share this. You can share it to your Facebook page. You can leave comments. We will respond to your comments. If you have questions, put them in there. We're going to always put a link from our YouTube channel into our Facebook group. What we're planning on doing in the fall is we have a mountain we've created of limbs that need to be chipped up. We lost 2 apple trees that I have to remove the stumps for. We have a garage, at least the trim on the garage needs replaced. The trim and the fascia on the chicken coop needs to be painted before we install a water collection system. We have 2 250-gallon IBC totes that we'll be installing for a water collection system off the coop. Linda's working on getting the garden ready for the spring, and you can talk about that.
Well, and it's going to be in combination with what I do for the fall as well, because I am going to still plant some fall brassicas and mustard and Swiss chard and kale, which are all good nitrogen fixers, beans and peas, to help the ground for next year. They'll be providing some nitrogen that will be much needed. As Tom said, we've done some tilling in the ground instead of all raised beds. I'm planting clover, white clover this fall, which will be a cover crop. It will be tilled in next spring to again provide nitrogen, and then I'm going to replant the clover, which will provide a living mulch instead of putting down the straw, which I found was really not very good. The straw just harbored the crickets and the slugs that ate the plants that we put in, so I'm hoping the clover is going to help that for next year. I also have bought 5 pounds of daikon radish seeds that I'm going to put in all the beds. It is supposed to be a phenomenal cover crop, as well as Tom wants to cook with it, so we'll have 2 for 1 when we do that.
We don't mind telling you that 13 acres is a lot of work. Just day-to-day upkeep of the house, day-to-day upkeep of the yard, and the maintenance of the animals and everything. We'd love to buy chickens and goats, but if we do that, we won't be able to go to Erie anymore. So we can't have animals on, you know, our last trip to Erie, poor Kit Kat didn't get fed for 3 days. Right? So to take time to do videos on something that we think is boring, we're willing to do as long as you want us to do that. If you want us to do these, then leave your vote in the comments below. We have projects coming up. We have garden stuff coming up. Our summers here are like Erie's winters. You don't do too much in the summer. I'm up at 4 o'clock. I work through the morning, and then I bake or cook in the afternoon. Linda still is working. She works from home now, but she spends her day working. And what little she can do during the week, she does in the evenings. So we're willing to put the time into the videos if that's really what you want.
My next project that I need to spend time on, but I do need it to get a little cooler because it's just been way too hot, but that's the greenhouse. I did find the greenhouse to be very profitable for my first time doing it last winter. We had kale, we had spinach, Swiss chard, various plants I got prepped for the spring garden. Timing was bad in getting it out for the spring garden, but I had them in the greenhouse. This year I'm going to, and I've already started, but it's just way too hot. It's reached 135 degrees in the greenhouse earlier this week, so I need it to cool down so I can actually breathe in there. But I'm going to insulate it so that come winter we'll be able to spend less time with heating it to keep it warm. My goal is to keep it above freezing, which is the nighttime temps that will be the biggest problem. I've have several books that Tom bought me to discuss how to handle that. I'm insulating it with various things, including bubble wrap, so I'm anxious to see how that'll work. And I'm looking forward to getting that started for this winter.
Just as an educational tidbit, the growing seasons are being shortened. There's a thing called solar minimum occurring right now. So it'd be something, if you're interested in that, you want to Google. If you have a garden, you're going to want to do that, especially up north. So I anticipate over the next year or two that we go from 3 growing seasons to 2, and that our springs are going to be colder and our falls are going to be colder during the solar minimum. This is a normal 11-year cycle, although this is a grand solar minimum. And essentially what that is there are no sunspots, so that the earth cools a little bit. So, if you have any comments, questions, leave them below. We'll start making some videos of the projects we do. Tomorrow I'll be repairing a gate. It's a pain in the butt. We have a remote control gate that works most of the time, but not all the time. And what else am I doing tomorrow? Got to clean out the garage. If you want, I can do a video on all the tools that we've had to purchase to make this thing work here. What are you going to be doing this weekend?
I've got to work in the garden, and we've got to get the chicken coop and painting done down there so we can get those totes ready to get installed.
So we'll try to take some videos, and we'll play this by ear for the next couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.
Bye.